Takes it a couple of seconds, but yeah, it's a pretty sweet deal. Scott got me hooked in so I could be a manager and I don't have to bug him to get logged in.
I see up in my corner, meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. I says I can view stream on YouTube as well.
Well, there you go. It's up and
I'm afraid to click that.
so we are, says one watching, which is me. Just remember to, if you're going to watch it on YouTube too, to mute one of them or else you're going to hear yourself in surround sound.
I think I'm just going to leave it just like it is.
All right. Well, I'm going to share my PowerPoint and then we can mute for a couple of seconds and wait to get started at 9. There's just about a minute left and then we can get started. And Keith, I am going to go ahead and hit record on this just in case we want to share it somewhere else.
Hey, do we have anybody watching?
No, I think it's just you and I right now.
Yeah, because I went to I thought, let me go to my Facebook post and let me click on it. And I saw 2 participants. I'm going, I think I know who those 2 participants are.
Yep, they're just us, but that's okay. We can go ahead and I've got 9 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and we'll post this later if anybody wants to hear what we have to say. But thank you for joining us or watching us at a later date. This is kind of a unique idea. My name is Gina Anderson. I'm a Purdue Extension educator for Floyd County, Indiana, and kind of wanted to figure out what the other Floyd counties across the country look like. And there are actually 6 of us, and that's Keith, if you want to talk about where you're at.
Yeah, so good morning. I'm Keith Michler. I'm with University of Georgia, Floyd County Extension. I am in the almost the northwest corner of Georgia, just a little bit northwest of Atlanta as the crow flies, maybe 55 miles. As you try to drive to Atlanta, more like an hour and a half. And I'm the county extension coordinator for Floyd County and 1 county south of me, Polk County. I'm also the ag educator as well, covering all things ag. And I want to thank you, Gina, for putting this together. It's a great idea. And, you know, and we both know where it got started from several years ago.
Yep, it did. So, but it's unique. So we have Indiana and Georgia represented. We also have Floyd counties in Kentucky and Virginia, Texas and Iowa. So those are our other 4 counterparts. And so luckily we only span 2 time zones, which is kind of nice when trying to plan a program, that it's only 2 different time zones and not 3 or more. But we represent, you're not too far from Atlanta. I'm just outside of Louisville. So my county is very urban, like literally I can see the downtown Louisville skyline on my way into work every day.
So where my home is actually in a fly pattern for the Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson International Airport. So we've got some windows in our room that you can be actually sitting in there and look out and see planes flying over at night, headed to the airport to land. It's like, my gosh, the traffic, unbelievable.
So it provides us some unique opportunities where we're at to compare. So I've actually been on staff for Extension for just a little over 8 years. So Keith, how long have you been in Extension?
Way too long, almost 27, almost 27 years. Okay. I started my career with University of Florida, and now I'm with University of Georgia. And I've lived in the south end of the state and the north end of the state. And I was in the panhandle of Florida and Panama City for several years.
Wow. So yeah, I've only ever been in Floyd County, except I'm not from Floyd County. I'm actually from the central part of Indiana. So I had to adjust to having a different kind of growing climate from what I was used to, which was interesting.
And I've seen a lot. So I've been on the coast. I've been in the southern end of the state. I was also on the East Coast when I used to work as a grounds manager at a resort in South Carolina. And so seen kind of like that commercial, that insurance commercial, seen a lot, covered a lot over the 27 years. And so Floyd County here, I don't want people to think this is urban. I guess we're suburban. We are 25 to 30 miles from Interstate 75, west of 75. I've still got several row crop farmers here in town. We have about 3,000 acres of cotton and 3,000 acres of corn, 500 or so acres of beans. I've got a 70-acre turf farm just close to my house. So we cover a little bit of everything, but we're also well on our way to being urban as well. You get into Rome and it's like, wow, this looks like it's pretty urban. So we're a growing area from people trying to escape the Atlanta metropolitan area.
Yeah, I would consider us urban. We don't have as many row crops as we used to, but part of that is our topography. So we have kind of like the mountains of Indiana. So Floyd's Knobs is in Floyd County, and it makes it a little difficult to do some row cropping and stuff. But our ag history dates back to, early times when they were doing strawberries. So we were really a big strawberry producing area. and now we've kind of switched from strawberries to bees. So we don't do a whole lot of row crops, but we do a lot of these smaller things.
And we used to be a larger dairy county. I don't know how many dairies were here. We still have one left. It belongs to Berry College, which is an award-winning dairy run by Berry College. Berry College, and it's a lot of they have a student enterprise program as well, where students take the products they grow and manufacture and sell as well. Gives them an opportunity to realize, hey, it's a lot harder to sell this product than we thought, or what's our market. So Berry College is it's a private college, but they are the largest land holding college in the state of Georgia, or actually in the nation. They have about 28,000 acres.
Wow.
It was started by Martha Berry, and they are started as an ag school, a private ag college. And so there's still work programs there. It's a unique experience out there. Very, very beautiful campus, just probably about 5 miles from my home. And they have a very active ag program with students, but they also have a lot of other active programs as well. It's kind of a unique situation.
And so, but they're not a land-grant university,
They're not a land-grant university. They are all private, started by Martha Berry. And I think they're the largest land holding college or university in the nation at 29,000 acres, I believe.
Wow.
They have a lot of land.
That's something we should explain, is that we work for Extension, which is part of the land-grant university system, compared and really does focus on agriculture, versus the college that you just talked about, which focuses on ag but isn't a land-grant university.
So in Georgia, we have the University of Georgia University System of Georgia, which has I think 34 institutions in it, but only the University of Georgia is the land-grant institution. Mm-hmm. Even though we have Georgia Tech and ABAC and North Georgia University and West Georgia University, University of Georgia is the land-grant university, which was established through Congress in 1862 for all your land-grant schools. Yes, I get some of that history mixed up. It's been a while since I went through the initial training of extension history.
Yep. And so Purdue is the only one in Indiana as the land-grant university. So we're an 1869 institution. But if our counterpart from Kentucky was on, he could talk about Kentucky actually has two.
Okay. Because and then you have Texas would be Texas A&M University. Yep. And let's see, what other states do we have that had Floyd in it?
Iowa and Virginia.
So Iowa State and Virginia, not Virginia Tech, Virginia would be the universities there.
Yep. So it's Virginia Tech.
It's Virginia Tech. I got it backwards.
Yep, it's Virginia Tech. Yeah.
So if Andy Overbay now is listening, I messed up, Andy. Sorry, don't seek your dogs on me, man. I know you're Virginia Tech, not Virginia. Oops.
It happens. Yeah. No, it's interesting because then so my undergraduate's from Purdue. So I went to Indiana's land-grant university, but my master's degree is from North Carolina A&T. So that's one of two land-grant universities in North Carolina.
So now I've got to explain. Now I got to dig myself out of this hole I created. So there's the 1890 institutions. Uh-huh. And so we have Fort Valley State here. And North Carolina was North Carolina A&T. Mm-hmm. And Texas would be Prairie View.
Okay.
I do know that one. Now, I don't know the other ones.
I'm not sure that I do either.
Well, I think Kentucky State is the 1890. Yes.
Yeah, Kentucky State, and then University of Kentucky is the other one there. And then I don't believe any of the six of us have a 1992 institution.
Yeah, and that would be your Native American institutions. Or was that 1994?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to go back and think about that.
Yeah, there's a lot. So
we want to explain how this came about with the story of what happened years ago.
Yeah, I finally stopped sharing my screen with the number on it. I'll drop it in the chat box, but I was like, I should probably stop sharing that PowerPoint. That way people can actually see us talk.
So I guess it may have been 5, 6, 7. I don't know. Time flies when you're having fun. And I got a phone call from a lady that said, I need you to call me about my trees are dying. So I called the lady and she said, my blue spruce are dying. Well, folks, blue spruce usually don't do real well in Floyd County, Georgia. It's a little bit too hot, too humid. They're more of a higher altitude type of plant. And so I thought, well, I'll call her. So I'm speaking to her and I said, ma'am, I said, exactly what's going on with your blue spruce? And she's telling me how the needles are dropping. They're not looking real good. Like, okay. So where are you located at? She said, well, I'm out by the airport north of town. I'm like, well, you're not going to believe this, but we have an airport north of town. And I asked her to say, what's your address? And she gives me her address. I'm going, all right, I've been here a while and I don't know where that's located at. And so I asked her, I said, exactly how do I get there? And she starts explaining to me directions that I don't understand. I said, ma'am, I said, exactly where are you calling me from? She said, I'm calling you from some places in Indiana. I said, what county is that? She said, Floyd County, Indiana. I said, that explains it. And I asked her, I said, how did you get my number? She said, well, I just Googled extension, Floyd County extension, and you pulled up. I'm going, okay. I said, go back to that page. She went back to the page. I said, click on staff. She said, I am. She said, I said, what do you see? She said, well, I think I see you. And I said, you do? I said, go scroll to the bottom. I said, what more do you see? She says, oh, Rome, Georgia. I was like, exactly. And so then her husband got involved because this got fun. This became funny. And he's a private pilot. And he was telling me, he says, well, Keith, he said, we need somebody to come look at these blue spruce. You seem to know what you're talking about. I said, well, I'll make you think I know what I'm talking about. And so we go on and talk a little more. And he said, well, I can come pick you up. He said, I'm a private pilot. I've got a plane. He said, problem is, it's about $25,000 an hour. And I said, well, that's exactly what I make for out-of-state consulting. When do you want to get me? And so then I proceeded to give them Gina's number for Floyd County Extension in Purdue. And then you got to go look at the blue spruce.
I did. And they had rhizophilia, which is a great fungus that we have here in the state of Indiana that turns the blue spruce needles to a purple tinge.
And so I don't know whatever happened to her blue spruce.
I'm in that subdivision every once in a while to see a friend, but I've never stopped by to see what they look like after that.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is really weird. And so several years ago, you guys hosted the national meeting in where were we at?
We were in Fort Wayne. It was pre-pandemic. It was 2019. It was
right. It's been so long ago. And I was looking for you. I'm going, all right, I got to find this girl from Floyd County Extension at Purdue. And so this is kind of how this thing got started. So,
well. It's just kind of fun to, we have our counterparts in our state that we deal with, but sometimes we don't do a great job of getting outside
of our own little comfort zone.
Yeah. And talk to others and see what others specialize in. Because like your specialty, based on your Zoom photo, you do a lot more with like you do wildlife, like you like to fish and stuff like that.
Actually, I just like to fish. I actually am. I have a master's and bachelor's in plant science. Okay. I just happen to like to fish. So my motto is, and it's on. I've seen it on several T-shirts. So I stole my motto. It's a bad day fishing is better than any good day at work.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah. So
I always post a fish poster.
I have a plant background, but I also like to play in the plants. So my bachelor's is let's see how it is. Horticulture, production, and marketing, which I always joke is Purdue's fancy way of saying how to run a greenhouse.
How to run a greenhouse. And I didn't know that. So now that I do, now I know where to go to.
Yeah. So I have a background in how to run a greenhouse, and I also have a background in natural resources and environmental science. Okay. And then my master's is just a general ag education. Because at least in extension, I mean, we've kind of changed our ways, but they like it if you have a master's. Sometimes they'll start you in as a bachelor, but having a bachelor's degree, but then they want you to work towards your master's. So.
Right. Same way with the University of Georgia is, and they'll actually pay, once you get on board, there's a tuition assistance program. So it's a great opportunity for you to further your education. And if you don't further your education, usually in the time frame, if you've been hired, you may be unhired.
Right.
To use a kind word, you'll be unhired in about 6 years if you do not proceed to get your master's like you were asked to do when you came on board. Now, for me, I know you got both your degrees came from Purdue and
North Carolina A&T.
And so both of mine are from University of Tennessee in plant science. I left I finished in 90. Then I went and worked 2 years and decided I think I want to go back to grad school, and went back to grad school in the same department. It's
Yeah.
been a while.
My first job out of college, after day one, I called home and I said, I don't think this is going to fly. I need to get my master's degree. So I did my master's degree online because
Okay.
Purdue didn't have an online system then, and we've since have a really great online system. But
So you didn't have to go to campus at North Carolina A&T.
I never set foot in North Carolina except one time when I did a job interview.
Do you know Sylvia Stovall, who used to be, I think, associate director of extension at A&M? Okay, she's now at Alabama A&M.
Okay.
We served on the Journal of Extension board of directors together.
All right. So
many moons ago.
So then, were you reviewing all the articles that go in the journal?
No, we have official peer reviewers for those. So I served on the board representing the National Association of County Ag Agents, and then I served as the marketing chair, then the treasurer, and got into the office rotation and was the president in 2015.
Gotcha.
It's a great way to get to know a lot of folks around the nation quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and that is a nice thing about extension is that each of our different segments, so 4-H, Health and Human Sciences, which some of you don't call Health and Human Sciences, our ag and community development, all have our national associations where we can kind of get together, but we have these other journals and things that we can work on to meet our colleagues across the country.
I am a reviewer for our association, National Association of County Ag Agents. I am a reviewer for that journal.
Mm-hmm.
But was not a reviewer because I was actually a board member and an officer for the Journal of Extension.
Nice.
And now the Journal of Extension is housed, I guess, at Clemson University. So Clemson is the managing editor, and also they are managing the official job posting service as well for Extension. So if you're looking for an Extension job, I think it's jobs.joe. Actually, go to joe.org, joe.org, and click on the tab for jobs.
There you go.
It's the quickest way to get there if you're looking for a job in Extension. And if you see me act kind of weird, I've got a hornet that has decided to come visit me, and it's a bald-faced hornet, which is a black and white hornet, and it's buzzing around here, and I don't know where it went, but we have the bald-faced hornet and we have the European hornet here in Georgia. We do not have the murder hornet, folks. Every critter out there that is big and flies is not a murder hornet.
We had that issue where several people thought they had that here. We determined they were probably cicada killers.
Yeah, exactly. Or a large European hornet, maybe a queen European hornet as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So did you all have a large cicada brood come out then?
The northeast part of the state did.
Okay.
So we did not here. Now, we had a large brood come out 2008, I believe. And we had people that were driving down the road and thought something was wrong with their car. Oh. They were that noisy with your windows rolled up.
Yeah.
And I had people actually call, how do I stop the noise? I'm going, you don't? How do I spray them? You don't? Not everything gets sprayed. I mean, it's just a natural process. And this was, so if it was 2008, that's 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago. And it's usually a 13 or so year brood.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for it to happen either maybe next year.
Mm-hmm. They'll
hatch out, and they're quite interesting.
Well, and at least here in Indiana, I know we were talking to some folks, and there were some of our cicadas got a fungus that affected their reproductive organs. Okay. And so they're not sure what that next brood will look like in 17 years. So
a little bit of integrated pest management, all natural.
That's right. That's right. They had that fungus kind of took care of that, but yeah. So is your cardinal still hanging out then?
I think he's gone. I haven't seen him come back. He was up here I'm looking this way because I'm looking up at the gutter, and haven't seen him come back, but he may have moved around to the front to peck the heck out of the front window now.
Well, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Like you have a cardinal hanging out at your house, but right now in Indiana, we've had DNR come out and ask everyone pull their bird feeders because we have songbirds that are dying, and they are still trying to figure out why they're dying.
And this report it. And so a lot of folks don't realize the flyways and stuff for birds that migrate, and the flyways for butterflies and how they migrate. And, the internet is a great tool that you can learn a lot of that information on, looking up how birds migrate during the wintertime, where they go to, where they hang out. And, with some climate issues, it seems like we're having hummingbirds that stay here later and later each year. And even if you leave feeders up, they know when it's time to go. They have an internal clock, and they can tell with the daylight and nighttime, the amount of daylight we get, they know when it's time to go.
Yeah. It's really interesting to watch that. And so we have people that actually keep their feeders up through October. Because about the 1st of October is when we start to see them leave southern Indiana.
And I've seen them here in November and December, and people get worried about it. I'm going, I wouldn't worry about it, folks. They know when it's time to leave.
They do. They're not dumb animals at all. So.
And I know the pollinator world has really picked up with the pollinator programs. And this was it National Pollinator Week this week, I believe?
It was National Pollinator Week this week.
So there was probably a lot of posts on pollinators, and people think of just honeybees as pollinators, but there's a lot more that pollinate than just honeybees.
Well, 1 in 3 bites of our food can be directly related to a pollinator. And exactly. I know this because I teach a lot on pollinators. I actually have a large event called Pollinator Day. And pre-pandemic, we had 1,200 people come to my office in 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, to learn about pollinators and stuff. So we do a lot with pollinators. Unfortunately for us, bats are not pollinators in Indiana. Actually, none of our Floyd counties bats, well, they may be a little bit in Texas, but usually in the Southwest, that's where bats are bigger pollinators. So we can usually thank bats for some adult beverages, like they like to pollinate the agave plant. So that's how we get tequila. Yeah. So bats are good for that. And then, we keep bees at our office, even though they're not our primary pollinators, but I have lots of people that like to learn how to keep bees. So this week I requeened one of my hives because my queen was old. She was like 5 years old and she died.
Yeah. So I know right now going on in Floyd County actually in Rome at Ridge Ferry Park, they're having what they call Bee Fest. And so I've got a group of master gardeners that are there working that right now at the Ridge Ferry Farmers Market. So at Ridge Ferry Park, there's a Ridge Ferry Farmers Market. There's Bee Fest going on. Bee Fest started at 7 this morning, goes to 11. And I've been texting back and forth to some of my master gardeners, and it's extremely crowded. They've got quite a crowd there, which is good. So people are wanting to learn how to protect their pollinators. And I know I've had people make comments, oh, all you extension folks are alike. All you want to do is just spray and kill something. I'm going, I don't know where you're getting that from, but if you call me just automatically wanting to spray something to kill it, we're gonna have to have a talk first about, does it need to be sprayed, or do you need more patience? What's going on? Do you have a problem? Do you not have a problem? What's the threshold of damage that is acceptable? And not everything deserves to be sprayed, folks. So hold back on the sprayer, hold back on insecticides, and watch and listen and learn and pay attention. So I know there's going to be a national pollinator count, and I don't know if that's different in each state, but I know in Georgia it's coming up in August.
I don't know. I haven't heard about it.
Where we've actually asked people to go sit in their garden or wherever they know there's some pollinators and count the pollinators that come up and visit the flowers a certain amount of time. And then all that data is reported into a reporting system. It's pretty neat collection of information.
We're trying to get people to collect it for us in Floyd County, but also Clark County. So it's a neighboring county, but we kind of merged, like, you don't know where the county line is, but doing our own citizen science on iNaturalist. And it's called the Sunnyside IN Pollinator Project. Okay. So we can collect data through the summer up until about mid-August and use it for our pollinator day that we hope to be in person in the fall, so that we know which pollinators we're seeing here in our area.
Yeah, so I look behind me just to make sure they're still blooming. So right behind me is a lot of lavender, and I've got a couple of butterfly bushes over here on the other side. And down in the garden, I have some cosmos and zinnia, and I don't know. I just bought a wildflower mix and just threw it everywhere. And people get all tied up in, when do I put my wildflower seeds out? I'm like, I don't care. Just go put them out. Just get them out. I mean, put them out in the spring, put them out in the fall. Remember, when they start coming up, don't go spray them and kill them because you think they're weeds. Let them grow.
And that's the hard part, is you got to have a designated spot that you're okay to let it go a little weedy.
Just let it go.
Flowers.
And they will eventually shade the weeds and stuff out. And sometimes, a weed is a plant whose virtues have yet to be discovered.
Oh, I like that definition.
So, maybe that weed, maybe that weed's a great butterfly source, or a butterfly caterpillar source is going to turn into a butterfly.
Yeah.
And I've got some dill. So I had some dill several years ago in a raised bed, and I let a lot of it go to seed. Every year this dill naturally reseeds itself. I've got a bed full of dill.
And I bet you get a lot of swallowtail caterpillars on it.
I do. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of let it go. The only thing that gets treated for weeds is my lawn. And for me, being, having a turf type background, I have my grass is in its place and my beds are in their place. And I don't have trees out in the middle of my lawn. All my trees are in beds. Mm. So my grass is easily mowed or mowed. I think it's mowed. So I've got captive labor here at the house. He's 17 years old and he gets to mow the yard today again. And it takes all of an hour with a 22-inch push mower to mow this yard front and back. Oh, so I don't have a lot of grass, but I have grass where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And there's so many people that are anti-turf, but turf does serve a purpose. I mean, it does help reduce the heat island at your house. It does take in carbon dioxide to give off oxygen. So, a little bit of turf makes the yard kind of nice and green. Mm-hmm. And just because it's got a weed in it doesn't mean you got to flip your wig. Mow more often.
You can. Just don't mow it so low that you burn it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened a couple of weeks ago. Someone let it get too high and he goes out and mows. And I'm like, yeah, I told you to mow this about 2 days ago. And because I've had knee surgery and not able to mow the yard and not able to get out and whip crap the whip whenever he's mowing. So things like that happen, but it's recovered.
Yeah, it doesn't take long usually for to recover from.
And so for here, I've got an all Bermuda grass lawn. I don't know if you even have Bermuda grass in your area.
We don't really like Bermuda grass that much up here, except for in our golf courses. So mine's all Bermuda. I mean, you learn how to keep it out of your beds. If you don't, it will take over your flower bed stuff, but it just takes a little bit of time. But it is a very drought tolerant turf. And the reason it takes over your beds is it spreads by rhizome, so it's very can be aggressive.
It likes to run around a little bit. Let's put it that way.
That's a good phrase. Yeah, it does like to run around. Yeah, but when we're talking about wildflowers, I actually have people that call me and go, "Oh my gosh, like I have this milkweed and something ate it. Oh my gosh, I've got to spread." And we're like,
"No, you don't."
It's the caterpillars, the monarch butterflies are what ate it. So
that's why you really kind of planted the milkweed. I hope was for the caterpillars. And I've got a couple down in my garden as well. And every now and then I'll go down and check and go, yes, something's been here mooching away.
Yep. My milkweed is nice and about 4.5, 5 feet tall right now and it's blooming. So I'm anticipating waiting to see which caterpillars show up, because last year it really didn't bloom at all. And I still had like 20 plus caterpillars on stuff. So yeah.
And I know my master gardeners, like I said, they are at the Bee Fest today, but we've got two gardens that they put in that are on the Rosalind Carter Butterfly Trail. And Rosalind Carter is Jimmy Carter's past U.S. president's wife. And so it's the Rosalind Carter Butterfly Trail. And we've got 2 gardens on that in Rome, one at Ridge Ferry Park and one at Chieftain's Museum, home of Major John Ridge. And so, go online and check it out, Chieftain's Museum. And you may just see our gardens that we maintain that I don't maintain them. Master gardeners maintain them there. It's an educational garden for the museum. And it's kind of trying to be depictive of the time of the Cherokee Indian back in the late 1800s. And somehow they applied for and got it on the butterfly trail because there are a lot of butterfly plants there to attract them.
So then does that trail go throughout all of Georgia, or is it kind of more central?
It goes throughout Georgia. And it's just different stops you can make to go look at butterfly butterfly inducing gardens.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. We have our master gardeners maintain several gardens between Floyd and Clark County. There's about 15 or so projects, and one of them is a butterfly garden, which is in the shape of an actual butterfly.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. That took someone had to like really sketch it out and
Now, does it have colors like a butterfly too, or plants are planted to do that as well?
They tried.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it
That
does
can,
have like the color pattern.
right. That can be difficult. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. The antenna though, that had to be like black corrugated pipe because it was hard to figure out
Okay.
what you're going to plant
Okay.
to really make that. But if you like Google map the Georgetown Optimist Club in Georgetown, Indiana, you'll see a satellite image, and it's a butterfly and it says SMG. So because our master gardeners are Sunnyside master gardeners.
So the Georgetown, Indiana Optimist Club.
Yep.
I'll have to go check that out.
It's on their property and it's like on a hill. So it's got a nice, when the satellites go over and they get pictures, it has a nice little picture.
The only problem is when you're using certain plants, they like to reseed themselves and they don't like to stay in boundaries. Mm-hmm. And they kind of scatter. Next thing you know, your design is all kind of becomes more like a tie-dyed look.
That's why we don't use mint. If we use mint, we try to put it in pots and then sink the pots in the ground.
Yeah, same thing here. Put mint in your garden, you'll be trying to figure out how to get the mint out of your garden if you don't put it in some type of container to hold it back.
Yeah. An obedient plant is the other one I found that does not do.
Okay.
We laugh up here that it's called obedient plant, but if you don't put it in a pot and then sink the pot in the ground, it goes everywhere.
And so I remember growing up, my younger days when I lived at home, was in high school and middle school. My mom has some plant flowers called touch-me-nots, and I'd have to go look them up because common names are, oh gosh, I mean your name and a common name could be all kind of different names, but there's only one genus and species of that plant, and it's called a touch-me-not. If you touch the seed head, it would sling open, bust open, and sling seeds everywhere. And they were called touch-me-nots. Now I don't know exactly. I had to go look it up. I should have looked that up before I got here, but I never knew what story I'd be telling when I get online.
I know. Usually I find that with, let's see, there's some shade plants that whenever they set seeds, if you touch them, they're just kind of fun to play with, like impatiens.
I think that may be what those were.
Yeah. Impatiens are a great shade plant, but if you let them go to seed, which it's kind of a cool seed head, it's nice and spiral and stuff. If you touch it just right, poof, it goes.
I'm actually trying to look this up on my cell phone right now. And I'm pulling up, and it's pulling up a mimosa, a ground cover type mimosa. That's not what I was looking for. Yep. It's going to take a little bit more digging.
Yep. So, but that's again, part of what we do as educators is we have to kind of do some investigating for people, because what you call one plant, I call something else.
Exactly.
The story I always tell, my grandma who passed away this year was 93 years old when she passed, whatever. But for years, she called a bell pepper a mango. I still to this day, I never asked her why she called it a mango, but I knew when she said mango,
that's what she meant.
I knew she meant the bell pepper. I don't know. Again, she was 93, so she was born in 1927. I don't know, because I don't know that the woman even ever ate a mango, but that's what she would call.
She ate a bell pepper.
Yep. So scientific names are important, even if we can't say them all properly.
Yeah, and I'm the world's worst for pronouncing them wrong.
Yeah.
Even though I learned how to spell a lot of them, which is a remarkable feat in itself. Still, pronunciation, I mean, is sometimes difficult. And like I say, some people say lirio. I say liriope.
Liriope.
And some people say, monkey grass. I said, oh, do you mean Ophiopogon japonicus? I'm going, huh? I said, mondo grass. And they look at me going, Ophiopogon who? I said, Ophiopogon japonicus. I said, it's a mondo grass. I said, or are we talking Liriope spicata? Which one are we talking about? I mean, do we have monkey grass? So there's a conversation going for hours when you intermingle sometimes genus, species, and common names, but common names can go all over the place. It's like when you go to the store and you ask for a Coke in the South, that means, it doesn't mean you're actually looking for a Coke. You're just looking for a caramelized looking carbonated beverage. You go in and ask for tape, you go in and ask for Scotch tape or duct tape. Well, Scotch tape's a brand, duct tape's a brand, but they're a tape. Same thing with plants. You can go in and ask for a common name and get the wrong plant because somebody else thinks that's a different plant you're referring to. So genus and species is a way to identify them. Or you call your county agent and let us figure it out for you.
Send us pictures. Pictures are always helpful.
Worth 1,000 words is what they say.
They are. And with technology now, it's even easier because I've got a few apps that I can take that photo and double check myself before I give an answer.
And folks, if you bring me a plant, please bring me more than one leaf. I know I had a lady with a rose the other day and she wanted me to look at it. And I said, bring me a whole branch. She brought me a leaf off of a branch. I'm going, that's going to be kind of difficult. So don't be cheap. Don't be stingy in sharing the plant parts when we need to see them. If we're trying to help you out, I need to see more than just the plant. And when you take a picture of one, try to get a picture of the whole entire plant, but then get something up close too, and share with us. That's an easy way to identify.
And it's super important if your tree has a compound or doubly compound leaf and they bring you a leaflet and not
a full, exactly.
Yes.
You can have oddly or evenly pinnately compound. And so I like it when people come to take the Master Gardener course and they get into it and they're going, oh my goodness, we had no idea. Because we'll go over a whole entire thing on botany, identification, nomenclature, the whole 9 yards.
Well, we should probably explain what Master Gardeners is because it looks a little bit from state to state. So ours is a 14-week training and they have to complete 40 hours of volunteer service to become certified. So Master Gardeners are truly, they're people that want to learn more about gardening, but they want to volunteer too and give back.
So for Georgia, the Master Gardener program, it's 40 hours worth of training. There is no set time frame of how many weeks you have to do it. It depends on who's teaching the class. But there's 40 hours of training that you need to do. And then to become certified, you got to do 50 hours the first year and then 25 hours each additional year to stay certified as a Master Gardener volunteer.
Okay. Ours is less than that. So it's 6 hours of advanced training after they're certified and 12 hours of volunteer service.
Okay. Yeah, we don't require the advanced training. We ask that you do advanced training, but it's required of 25 hours per year. And we have more going on than you can absolutely imagine. Just like this morning, if you went to help with Bee Fest, you probably were there by 6 o'clock and probably won't leave till 12. And so there's 6 hours. It doesn't take long, too many days of those to get 25 hours in.
Right.
But if you wait till the last minute to try to get those hours in, it's going to be tough.
Yep. I have to send in emails going, hey, did you turn your stuff into the online system and it didn't take, or what happened with it? So
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, ours covers a lot. I mean, we do a lot of farmers market. So a lot of people collect hours doing the farmers market and going, because we have 3 farmers markets in Floyd County alone, and Clark County, because my Master Gardener served 2 counties. So instead of it being just to one county, I don't know, when they started 34 years ago, it covered both counties. And so they do both counties. So there's another 5 or 6 in the other county that they can go to and help with. But
I'm looking down here at this, whatever is, I guess it's a spider that's decided he's going to try to climb. It is going to try to climb up the table. I just hope it doesn't get on me. There's one thing that spooks me, and that's spiders. Snakes, I'm cool with. Spider gets on me. I'm like a little kid. I'll go off screaming into the night, swatting. And
but spiders are good. They're good for the garden.
Except when you got the brown recluse or the black widow.
That is true.
And I would assume that you have both there in.
We do.
And we do as well. We have brown recluse here, and for the longest time, they thought that brown recluse did not exist in Northwest Georgia, and yes, they do. And the easy identification technique for brown recluse is they have 6 eyes, not 8. So they have eyes in pairs. So there's three pairs. Yeah, 2, 4, 6. And the other ones are 8, and they're easily seen under a microscope. or a dissecting scope. And I tell folks, if you bring me a spider, I'd prefer it be dead, not squished, but either put it in a jar and freeze it, or make sure it's on a sticky board really stuck. I had a gentleman bring in a glue board with brown recluse on it. And I looked at them, and the idea they think is, oh, well, if it's got a fiddle look on its back, it's a brown recluse. No, that's not true. There's a lot of spiders that can look that way. And I slid it under the microscope, and I looked, and of course my hair on my arm stood up, and now I'm talking about them. So the hair on my arm is standing up right now because I'm talking about spiders. And I looked at that thing, and it moved because it was still alive. And I'm like, slide my chair back and about flip over in my office. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are still alive. So I slid them into a Ziploc baggie and put them in the freezer just to kind of finish them off. But this poor gentleman had hundreds on this glue board. And I mean hundreds, for all sizes too. And just really make the hair on your arm stand up, because that's one spider that is probably more misunderstood than understood.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a lot of clutter inside your house, the word recluse, they are reclusive. They don't intentionally come out and jump you. If you roll over on one, they get, they get up in your bed or whatever, you roll over on one, you're probably gonna get bit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let stuff hang around the floor. Keep stuff away from your bed. Push your bed away from the wall. A little, I didn't say a long way, just far enough off the wall where they can't migrate over from one side to the other. They're unique looking. Their eye pattern, it looks like a little smiley face when you look at them.
I don't know that I've ever gotten that close to one to go, let me see your eyes.
2, 3. So there's little eyes are in a little U shape.
Yeah, definitely never been that close to one.
Yeah, microscope and me, and you get pretty close looking at them.
Yeah.
Kind of spooky to know what kind of damage they can cause to someone's skin and tissue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think usually the ones I have are like the orb spiders that tend to show up in my office.
Okay, probably already dead or still alive.
Usually they're photos, sometimes if they're dead, but yeah, usually again, my preference is also that they are no longer amongst the living to identify.
And I know when I get snakes, I get a picture of a snake. It's usually, I'm going, where's the head? Oh, we chopped that off. I'm going, yeah, that was a good one there, folks. You killed the wrong snake.
Yeah.
And so the one way to identify is a lot of times a venomous snake has a more triangular head, fatter shaped, shorter body. And a non-venomous in Georgia is going to be a longer, slender snake. Their eyes are round with a round pupil, where the venomous snake has a slit type pupil in their eye. I know that you're not going to get that close. I'm not getting that close to tell, but not all snakes are bad, and not all spiders are bad. So
how many poison or venomous snakes, I should say, do you have in Georgia?
I think we got 6. So we're going to have your copperhead, cottonmouth or water moccasin, rattlesnake, pygmy rattler, coral snake in the southern end. What am I missing? Copperhead, rattlesnake, pygmy rattler, water moccasin. Maybe it's 4 or 5, and a coral snake are our major ones. Yeah,
so I checked, and we have copperheads. Luckily, Floyd County doesn't have any like true populations like they might come over. There's a larger population in Harrison County, which is just to the west of us. And I tell friends, I'm like, if you have them, please keep them over there. I don't need to see them.
Yeah, don't need them.
Don't need them. We have a timber rattler. We have and I'm never going to say this right. It's Massasauga. And it's very isolated to a couple of what areas.
Is there a common name to that snake?
No.
It is venomous?
It is. We have cottonmouth, and then we have, we don't have that many in Indiana, which I'm very thankful of. And luckily they're very isolated to certain areas. I've had one live snake brought into the office one day. That was enough. Someone found it in our building. So we're actually housed in a Purdue research building, and somehow a door got left open, and this baby snake, and they brought it in a shoebox. They're like, "Hey, we have a gift for you." And I'm like, "There's a snake in there, isn't there?" They're like, "Yes, here." And we took a photo of it. It and I went outside, and it was not thrilled with me that it was in the shoebox, and it tried to jump at me. So I shut the lid. We had a little moment of reflection and decided that neither of us were happy with the situation. After a couple of minutes, we both regained our composure, and I let it go, and it was able to go without any incident.
So in my backyard a couple of weeks ago was a very large gray rat snake. And when I say large, it was probably every bit of 6 feet long. And it freaks everybody out at my house but me. I'm going, wow, because I wasn't here. I'm like, well, if I had been here, I'd have gone out and tried to pin its head down and pick it up. But I wasn't here. And they're like, you've got to do something about that snake. I was like, no, that snake's fine. That snake will get rid of the chipmunks and the squirrels or whatever else. And they're like, the cats won't go near it. I said, those cats are smart. They know what not to mess with. That snake's pretty big.
And that's kind of the beauty of our job. So I actually teach a class called Master Naturalist. And so we bring some of our DNR folk in, and they'll bring the snakes. And one of my neighbors who used to live in what she called a postage size stamp yard, moved to an area that was surrounded by trees, was terrified of snakes. But that night sat in the front row when we had the snakes and got up close and personal to a black Eastern king snake and learned that it's good. And so now when they're at her house sunning, she's like, cool, stay there. I'm glad you're here so you can eat my mice and stuff. So
I got one last story. So when I lived in South Georgia, our house had several large pine trees by it. And I was in the bathroom one Sunday afternoon and reading the newspaper, and let's just say, and I look over to our sink, and a snake has stuck its head out the overflow hole of the sink. Needless to say, I quickly finished up reading the newspaper. I thought, well, how am I going to get this snake out of the overflow hole? And first off, how did he get there? Did it come through the house? Well, my thought is the snake, we were also in a major drought. The snake, because that vent, I think it got up on the roof, sensed the moisture from the vent pipe, dropped down the vent pipe and tried to find a way out. And that was a way out. It came out through the overflow hole on our sink. Well, when I got up, it ducked back in the overflow hole. I'm like, uh-oh, now what? What am I going to do about this snake? Because you can't just ignore this. So I turned the hot water on, plugged the sink up, pulled the stopper up. So when the hot water went down the overflow hole, out came the snake. Well, as it came out, I grabbed it behind the back of the head and pulled it out. And it was probably about 3 feet long. Ooh. And it's another gray rat snake. And I pull it out. And of course, my wife's having a fit. She's like, we've got snakes. I said, no, I think it came down the vent pipe looking for moisture because we had a drought. Well, you got to kill it. I said, no, I'm not killing it. I took it out back and walked across the road. And behind us was a large plantation. And I just threw it over in the plantation property. And there was no reason to kill that snake. I mean, it was just looking for moisture, and it wasn't a venomous snake. But yeah, that'll scare it. That'll scare the crap out of you. No pun intended.
Yeah, but that's kind of what we do as educators, is help others understand what are good snakes, what are bad snakes, right. And maybe how do you change that habitat? Because for its habitat changed. If you were in a drought and it needed
some water. And that same year, I had a bunch of ferns hanging on the front porch, and I had watered them earlier. And I went out and I was just walking along the front porch and almost ran my hand right across one. He was getting water off of the cupped section of the wood. So, wood will cup and stuff and bow up. And so where I had watered the plants, it had dripped down. There was a little puddle of water on the wood, and it was sitting there drinking the water.
Yeah.
Scare the crap out of you. But hey, I mean, we took care of it. I mean, I just picked him up and took him out to the woods and let him go, or her, whatever it was.
And it's just a change of habitat. And that's exactly. Kind of the beauty of our job, is we get to help educate and then help people find what the appropriate habitat is and why their house or property was a good habitat for that creature that they did or didn't want.
So we had anybody tune in? Have you seen?
No, it's just us right now.
Just us.
It's okay. We've been swapping stories for a good almost 50 minutes now.
Maybe somebody will watch this recorded and go, those are quite interesting folks. Maybe we should have attended.
Yeah, because I think we're going to try to do this about every couple of months and see.
Yeah, and just see. I mean, I was hoping I even put that I would tell stories today. So I thought I would at least have a master gardener or two attend. But And maybe it's because it's a Saturday and people are going, I'm not doing this on a Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe we'll have to look at a Friday. I mean, maybe it's a good Friday morning starter. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
Friday
game
morning.
anytime.
Yeah, we're flexible people, and it always also depends on our fair schedules, because extension is, I always feel, the hardest profession to schedule with people, because
Yeah, we're involved in so much.
meetings. You like your county fairs, you all don't have county fairs. I don't remember.
We do, but we're not as involved as a lot of other states are. Now I've gone and judged canning, and we'll do livestock judging, but I don't have a livestock background, so I'll get involved. I do have some food safety and background and stuff, and so I'll get involved in judging of canning products, and and people bringing stuff in for ag show, different flowers and that kind of stuff. I'll judge that. Yeah, we had a couple years ago. We had someone. They brought in this mixed vegetable display, and one had a carrot, and we're going, we know good and well that you didn't grow that carrot. Pretty sure you didn't grow that carrot. And the carrot was so old that it was flexible, and you could take it and bend the carrot into the shape of a U. And we refer to it as our Stretch Armstrong carrot. So I don't know if you have to go back many years to remember about this figurine that was, I don't know what was in it, but it's called Stretch Armstrong. You could stretch its arms out really far and its legs and stuff. And we refer to it as our Stretch Armstrong carrot. And I made a little video of it. I still got it on my phone of us going, wow, this is kind of a unique carrot. You can bend it in different shapes, flexible carrot.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know
it's
that
amazing.
Like that.
It's amazing going to some of these things. You're going, that doesn't grow here. And we're pretty sure you bought those tomatoes in the grocery store, because I haven't seen homegrown tomatoes look like that before.
Yeah. It's hard to get a perfect homegrown tomato. Usually it's got some kind of blemish on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. No, our county fairs are going right now. So for us, our 4-H county fairs are happening. Ours was the first part of June. So I was busy helping. I help our educator do whatever it is needs done, hand out ribbons, whatever. I also help during the pig show. So they usually have me run pig boards. So that's help to, the kids at the pig won't move, move it with the
also
pig, whatever.
Keep them separated so they don't fight.
Yeah.
And
there was a couple of us that we had to ride a couple of pigs. A couple of pigs got a little unruly and around the board, and decided that it was a good time for me to ride them during the fair.
Yeah, our fair will be in October, first part of October. And also the Georgia National Fair is in Perry, Georgia. It'll be in October as well. And we also host Georgia, down in Moultrie, Georgia, have the International Sunbelt Ag Exposition. And it's a very large agricultural show. It's a worldwide type of show. Companies come from around the world. And at times you can have, 100,000 people there in a day. And it's like a 3-day show. And so the Georgia County Ag Agents Association, we have a food booth. And so a lot of us go down there and work that for a couple of days out of a year. Kind of a good time to bond with your fellow county agent and learn things to do and what not to do.
There you go. Yeah. We usually when we bond, we're as educators, we're working our Indiana State Fair. So we will help run the 4-H livestock shows or help with other 4-H events at the state fair.
And you'll find that extension agents around the nation are kind of like a family group. So it's kind of like, don't talk about us. It's kind of like talking about somebody's mama. You can talk about it, but don't you talk about my mama.
There you go.
Don't talk about my fellow county ag agent, unless I don't like them.
Well, but we have a very unique job. Like no 2 days are ever the same, and we do some things that probably people never realized that we did. One of the shows I help with at the state fair, llama and alpaca show. That's a big thing here in Indiana is housing llamas and alpacas. And part of that show is dressing them up in costumes. There's a costume portion to the llama and alpaca show.
Oh, I bet that's pretty neat. Is there any videos I can go see of that?
There's probably tons of photos on the Indiana State Fair page.
Okay, I'll go check that out.
Costumes, because we do it at the county level too. Not every county has a llama alpaca club. But when I first started, our 4-H educator son was showing alpacas, and he's like, I want to go as like Luke and Yoda. So we dressed this alpaca up as Yoda.
Oh my. So the alpaca fashion show.
Yes, because the goal with the costumes is to cover as much of the animal as possible. Like you don't want to see any fur.
Wow.
So yeah, these alpacas and llamas have been doctors, Batman. We've seen bumblebees. You name it. These kids are super creative, and that's something that
It's pretty neat. I'll have to go check that out. The Indiana State Fair.
you
So what was
should.
the Optimist? What was the Optimist Club name again for the?
It's the Georgetown Optimist Club, Georgetown, Indiana Optimist Club.
I remember that as well.
Yeah, but yeah, we all do. Our job is no 2 days are ever the same in our job.
Maybe during the winter months, but very seldom.
Yeah, it's which is nice.
Christmas Day, it's kind of dead, but
Yeah. Until someone calls and says, my Christmas tree is a little dry. How do I take care of that?
Well, too late now.
Too late. But hopefully if anybody has questions, they'll be watching for the next time that we do this, and I'll get this recording posted to the NACA site so that we can also share the link on our Facebook page and stuff and get some people maybe interested in just learning more about extension, not just the Floyd counties, but just extension and what we do
in general.
Yeah, because we're a good resource, but people don't know we exist sometimes.
I know, and we try so hard to make sure we exist.
We do. But well, Keith, I'm going to go ahead and stop.
All righty.
We're going to have a great Saturday.
Yeah, it's 9:56 here in Floyd County, Georgia, and I don't know if I'm going to be doing much after knee replacement other than going in and sitting